All right, it's Friday. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling good, Anthony.
I'm feeling so good. I'm not shaving anymore. I'm done.
I can't wait to make fun of you. Stay tuned for a great chance of making fun of Anthony's beard, but more importantly, the NEWH's South Florida chapter Top ID Awards. We're celebrating some amazing designers today. All right, Anthony, happy Friday to you. What a great week it's been. We started off with the week with the COO of IHG. We had on the CFO of Hilton. We played that amazing poker tournament that raised money for charity. And today we're going to be celebrating some great designers.
I'm telling you, we had a good week, my friend. And this morning I went out down to the beach and I almost didn't come to the show, man. It was hard to get off the beach this morning.
It was really hard to get off the beach this morning. Well, I don't know. I'm not near a beach. I don't like the beach. I'm not a fan of the beach, but I understand where you're coming from. I like the beach mindset, Anthony. I like the whole idea of the beach. The only beaches I really like going to is if my hotel is right on the beach. I don't like the effort of getting in the car and going all the way out there.
Well, why don't you just stop with you don't like effort?
That's exactly right. I am not a fan of effort. You nailed it.
So today we're going to be speaking to designers, and are we allowed to talk about the new normal in design also, Glenn?
It could come up. There's no rules about what we are or not allowed to talk about, but we are going to celebrate them. We are going to talk a little bit about NEWH. So let me just start by saying, welcome to this week's edition of Feel Good Friday. We're going to have a great panel discussion with the NEWH's South Florida 2020 top interior design firms. Big Time Design Studios, EOA, and Interior Image Group. And in case any of you who don't know what the NEWH is, let me share with you. Anthony, do you know what the NEWH is all about?
I do, but why don't you explain?
Well, they are an amazing networking resource for the hospitality industry. Not only can you make great people, but they provide scholarships, education, leadership development, excellence recognition like we're doing today, business development opportunities, all sorts of great stuff. And they've awarded over $6.5 million in scholarships to more than 2,500 students to date. How fantastic is that? And this year, the South Florida chapter, which we're planning to focus on today, has done $30,000 in scholarships alone. And Top ID, well, it's a great award determined by NEWH chapter, and the regional boards, recognizing, promoting the best folks in the industry, right? It's all about quality design work for our business. And this is a great recognition to support and promote their designer membership. So what do you say?
I love what we're doing the show on design. And by the way, so everyone knows, this is not a paid sponsorship. It sounded like it was, but it's not.
We're excited. Sorry. I'm feeling good Friday. I'm feeling like we're making money, but we're not. If you want to advertise on our show, feel free to send us a note. Send it to me, Glenn at rouse.media. We're getting a lot of interest out there, and we'd love for you to be one of the companies that support us.
So, my friend,
yes,
what do we got on the show, man?
All right, let us bring in everybody and get right to it. Woo! Got everybody in just in time before our little bumper. And there's so many buttons to push right there. All right. Let's welcome Carolina Colo of Tile Bar. Carolina, I'm not even sure I got your name pronounced right. I feel so silly.
It's close. It's Carolina Coelho, though.
All right. Carolina Coelho. Thank you for correcting me. She is, of course, representing the South Florida chapter of NEWH. We've got amazing award winners, Mr. Callin Fortis of Big Time Design Studios, Malcolm Berg of EOA, and Leslie Schultz of Interior Image Group. Malcolm, I got to say, every time I hear your name, I think it should be pronounced like John Houseman used to pronounce stuff back in the 70s. You know what I'm talking about, Anthony? Malcolm Berg, right?
Yeah, I do. You know what's amazing to me? You know they're designers because their backgrounds and their lighting is perfect.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And
he's like, damn right. I worked hard on that.
Right. It's great. They could do it the first shot, Anthony. It's taken you 47 of these shows at least, and you still can't get it right.
Are you saying my lighting's not right today? My lighting is not right today, but it's okay.
That's all right. It's hiding the fact that you haven't shaved. Carolina, maybe you could share a little bit with us about these great people and the Top ID Awards.
Well, the Top ID is really a prestigious award given to members in our community in the hospitality. And it also reflects on their amazing designs that they do, as well as their firm on how they support NEWH as a local chapter. So a lot of the people that are there are also members and even part of our board, which is fantastic because without them, we wouldn't be anywhere.
Excellent. So congratulations to everybody. I think the best place to start is let's say hello to everyone, official like, and learn a little bit about you. I'm just going to go with who I see on my screen, left to right. Callin, why don't you give us a start? Tell us a little bit about yourself and Big Time Design Studios.
Great. So hello, everyone, and happy Friday. And I'm sorry I didn't get the black shirt memo. Malcolm, you outdid me again.
Hey, look, I'm pretty colorful over here. Don't worry about it.
You and Anthony look pretty good in black. We're all in black except for Glenn and I. Callin Fortis, Big Time Design, Miami-based hospitality design firm, specializing in high style, design-driven concepts predominantly. Anywhere from cruise ships, I sort of land, sea, and everywhere in between. We haven't done any aircraft, but other than that, cruise ship, hotel, restaurants is our forte.
Excellent. Malcolm, how about you?
Okay, so Carol, I've got to say the blue shirt really brings out the sparkle in your eyes. So thank you for the blue. You look beautiful. Malcolm Berg, president of EOA Group in Coral Gables, Florida. We're an architecture, interior design, branding firm, mostly in hospitality. Amazingly talented group. So shout out to the team. Excellent.
And what about you, Leslie?
Hi, I'm Leslie Schultz. I'm the Senior Vice President of Design for IIG. We have offices headquartered in Crown Point, Indiana, just outside of Chicago. And I started our South Florida studio about 4 years ago. So we specialize in all types of hospitality design projects. And we also do procurement and branding as well.
Excellent. So, Carolina, before we get into the question and answer part of it, I guess we have to do some sort of official ceremony, some virtual love out there for our board.
Do I have to stand at attention? It's
yeah, right. So, how do you see us doing this virtual awards thing here, Carolina?
Well, I did deliver it to them, so I could see it on Leslie's. It's lovely if you could share that for us. They're a beautiful award that was given to all three of them. So I'm very excited even next year as well.
And how do you win the award? What's the criteria for the award?
There's different criteria. It depends on how many jobs that they have completed. It also depends what chapter they're on, how many people are members of the local chapter, and also being active in the membership side as well.
Great. Well, we would definitely encourage all of you out there to give us some questions, ask these great designers anything that you'd like about the design process, about participating in NEWH, scholarships, all of that kind of great stuff. But let's see, Leslie, you got your award. Why don't you hold it closer? Gentlemen, if you have yours, we'd love to see it as well. All right. Hey, congratulations.
This is for the team.
That's a beautifully designed award.
Yeah. Now there's Malcolm with his award. Thank you.
It really is beautiful.
Yeah. Mine's safely in the trophy. Mine's safely put in the trophy case.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he took it out when we had a test run the other day and we got to see it then. So I know he had it.
I did. Yeah. It's not
All right, so I guess a great place to start is, Callin, maybe start with you. Tell me a little bit about what you find NEWH chapter has assisted you in helping your firm's success and why they're an organization you'd like to be a part of.
So, NEH or NEWH is, it's a tight band of merriness. It takes a community that's pretty big and substantial. I come from Chicago, which is a considerably bigger, much more urban city than Miami. Though Miami is growing, but it's not New York, it's not Chicago, it's not LA. And what it did for me is it brought a really high level of talented people that I normally wouldn't come across. And it kind of put us into a little sandbox together and they make it so accessible to participate. So it's not just like professional networking, because we've done a lot of those events, and as you can tell, Malcolm and I are not just fierce competitors. We're also very good friends, and have a ton of mutual respect for one another. And usually I only get to see him at NEWH, for example. And then when I see him, it encourages me to look at all the work he's just produced, and vice versa. So NEWH for me has provided a sense of community in a way that typically in a big city you wouldn't normally get to have. But we're all sort of like one component, which is a really, really, really nice and fun thing to have.
Excellent. Malcolm?
So yeah, on the heels of that, I got to tell you, if you think you knew NEWH South Florida, you don't know what it's like today. Every single year has gotten better and better and better. Every single event that they've produced and promoted has become a lot stronger. Their sponsorship of students has been, fantastic and getting stronger every year. And to us, I got to tell you, selfishly, it brings amazing talent to the table. We see just those students that do get sponsored and get the scholarships tend to be really outstanding students that we end up hiring and bringing into the mix. So thank you for all the support, and thank you for supporting the students. It's an amazing organization.
Well, it's pretty cool. Not only are you helping students get through school, but also giving them entree into the career world as well. Leslie, how do you see NEWH and your participation in it?
I've been a member of NEWH for a pretty long time, and just like Cal and Malcolm say, it's created a really great community for us as designers in the hospitality industry, not just professional networking, but social networking as well. Being a part of something that supports the design community, we, see a lot of each other and provide opportunities to network and socialize and bring people together. And the scholarships are amazing. So it's just a really great organization, and it's been very supportive for us and the success of growing our business as well.
So I have a two-part question.
Uh-oh.
Okay. The first part is, I want to know the last design that you did that was just, at the end of it was just inspiring to yourself, what your team did. So I want you to talk through that. And also the 800-pound gorilla in the room is, what's next in design for hospitality?
Yeah, and answer that in 10 words or less, please. Go.
So Leslie, you want to start?
Yeah, so it's funny, right before this call, I just got off of a virtual model room review for a hotel we're doing in Clemson, South Carolina called the Shepherd Hotel. And it was really interesting to not be part of it in person. This project is really inspiring to us because of the opportunity to build a hotel that's actually going to employ more than half its staff with people with intellectual disabilities. So there's a lot of heart and soul that's going into this project, and we build a hotel that's actually going to, and then it's staff with people with intellectual disabilities. So there's a lot of heart and soul that's going into this project, and we build a hotel that's actually going to, and then it's COVID disabilities. So there's a lot of heart and soul that's going into this project, and we build a hotel actually going to, and then it's.
Hey, we're getting a whole lot of reverb coming off of you.
Yeah, I hear that too.
Yeah, if everybody could mute their mics when they're not speaking, that might help. Thank you. Leslie, please continue.
Sorry about that.
Not your fault. We like to blame the technology, so we have no problems with that. And the side effect is Anthony muted himself, which is always a good thing. So please continue, Leslie.
I think somebody's watching the show. That was the problem.
So kind of to get back to your question about what's next in the industry, just taking an example of something like a virtual model room review, having to do and rely on technology for a lot of these things has been a new challenge, and I think part of the new normal. I think we're starting to look at things and be a lot more sensitive to how our design really affects those around us and how to stay safe. So It's interesting.
Excellent. Callin, how about yourself? Tell us about a great project of yours recently.
So actually, there are two kind of simultaneously for
Love
two
it.
different reasons. One is, you know, interestingly enough, at the time that we find ourselves in, you know, I called. Well, I think 2 days after we realized that it was going to be a little longer than 2 weeks, my first phone call literally was to Malcolm on that Tuesday. And it was kind of like, Malcolm, gee, I'm working on a big Carnival cruise ship and a big, huge hotel on the West Coast. Well, I don't know if I'll even get a phone call back. And oddly enough, we did. So for a couple of reasons, we thought Carnival would be shelved. We've been working on it for about 16 months. It's a high impact space on the ship, which are usually found midship, and it's our fourth foray with Carnival. And they kind of use us as their brand kind of design storytellers. So we help them develop kind of a heartbeat and ethos for a space. And then comes the, what does it look like part. So we actually have a really, really fun process when we work for Carnival, and we try to employ it with all of our projects. But specifically, Carnival is like it's sort of like producing a film, and everything is scripted and everything is in words, and you can describe it. And then when it comes down to the actual design, things just kind of obviously make sense because you've kind of done the work. So if you were in a Martin Scorsese film and somebody had a kind of a Brooklyn accent, you would say, well, of course he does. I mean, it just makes total sense. So those projects to me are really fun to do. I think the highlight is that despite I'm just going to call it a hiccup because it's Happy Friday, this little hiccup that our world is in, they pushed forward and they took a breather, obviously, like we all did. And we're just turning the corner to complete it after 16 months. And then the second one is a hotel in Del Mar, which is just outside of San Diego, which is a beautiful property right on the ocean. The kind when you get up in the morning and you see what you think you see are 25 or 30 black seals in the water as you're having your coffee and you realize it's just a bunch of surfers bobbing on surfboards. It's that kind of property. We just did a total gut renovation of that property. And a young woman that I work with in my studio kind of went from kind of right hand to met me halfway and then zoomed past me. So kind of highlight for me was kind of the two projects simultaneously, me kind of driving the Carnival ship and a senior designer in my office who literally as she was like the road runner, she kind of got next to me and we ran together for a minute. And then all I saw was her kind of fly ahead. So, for me, this has just been, a double-edged sword. One is sort of sheer terror about our business, followed by, hey, we're still working and people are moving forward and projects are getting done and there will be a new way to work. So I actually feel oddly encouraged and kind of excited about a new way to work. And that was proven just in my studio and their strength and sort of fearlessness, to handle a project like that from afar. And as Leslie said, lots of Zoom meetings and virtual sample submittals because we can't see it. We couldn't see anybody.
Right. So
it's a little difficult to do a $15 million, space on a ship and kind of go, I think you're really going to like this.
Right. That's for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, I would say those two together have been sort of my highlight in this last 90 days.
Excellent.
Malcolm? You're on mute. You're on mute.
He's still on mute.
There you go.
Now you're off mute.
There you go.
Although be careful about what you say because we'll mute you, man.
It's not the first time. Okay, 10 words or less. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So no, we have two projects that I think are really kind of stand out right now. One is the Ben in an autograph collection hotel that we just finished up in Palm Beach. Amazing teamwork on that one. Amazing team at the office cranking that project out. It really looks spectacular. More details than you can imagine. So that's been really, really cool. The other one we're working on right now, that's much more challenging from an intellectual standpoint, which is really a lot of fun, is a W in Cancun. Really highly intellectualized, interesting project, adults only. First time W does an all-inclusive, so that's going to be pretty spectacular. But it's a luxury all-inclusive on the ocean. It's going to be really, really amazing.
Nice.
So thinking ahead as to what the future brings, I mean, besides the obvious, I think two things. One is, necessity is the mother of invention. I think we're going to see a lot of new things coming out, which are going to be very, very interesting. Cal was just talking about, new ways of working and et cetera. But the sort of overriding principle to me is empathy. I think that empathy has trickled in over time in hospitality, and it's becoming a lot more palpable, a lot stronger right now. Empathy towards our clients, empathy towards management, empathy toward the guests, empathy towards each other. I think it's a much more empathetic world. I think we've been given time to sort of sit home and look outside and watch the trees kind of flowing back and forth in the wind, and made us realize that there's more to life than just rapidity and kind of going fast and furious. So I think the new ways of working, the new ways of collaborating, the new ways of thinking about properties, that's probably, at least for me, that's a new way of doing hospitality.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. Carolina, I know you're not one of these designers here, but you are in charge of the chapter over there. So how do you see their overall designs that they've been putting out there and being really reflective of where we are and where we might be headed to?
Well, now I'm starting to plan virtual things, so it's going to be a lot harder, but it's still kind of nice, because so we're going to have like setups, and we're going to have a virtual tour of all the different hotels that they've done, like the Ben in West Palm Beach. I'm working with Big Time Design with a restaurant in Aventura called Pani. So we're going to do these live virtual tours because we can't actually network there, so we're going to network online.
So that's a question I have for all of you. If a client called you and said, hey, can you fly to California? We're going to have a meeting with 8 people. We're going to social distance, but I want everybody in the office. Anybody comfortable going?
Malcolm, you got to unmute yourself, buddy.
He's going to take his helicopter.
I know.
I think you guys are in charge of my mute button here.
Yeah.
No,
sorry.
We'll just call the client and have them send us their private jet and fly us privately. No, I wish that was the case. I think so. I think, the flights are open now. Everybody's traveling a lot more. Everybody's wearing masks on planes. So I think there are new levels of safety out there. And I think we're learning this thing, guys. I don't think that this is going to beat us. We're just going to learn how to live with it.
That's right.
There's no choice.
So Leslie, are you getting on a plane anytime soon for a client meeting? You're on mute. There you go.
There we go. I don't have anything at the moment. It's coming soon. It is. I am hesitant a little bit, but I know it's what's needed to, keep things moving forward, and just have to be as safe as you can be. I think it's the reality. We have to sort of make that decision and bite the bullet at some point. And like Malcolm says, we're just kind of learning as we go.
Glenn didn't know how to swim, and then he jumped in the deep end of the pool last week when he went to Vegas.
That's right. That's right. And I loved it. It was great. And more people are traveling than they have in a while. Believe it or not, according to the TSA yesterday, they finally beat over 500,000 people going through security checkpoints yesterday. So
did I hear right yesterday that somebody said the occupancy in the hotel business now is over 40%?
Yeah, you did hear that. I think it was STR put out about 40%. Of course, there are still hotels that are probably running in single digits and some that are running much higher. But on average, that's pretty good. That's pretty encouraging. And it's really a sign of things to come, I think.
Now, what's the one thing that you've seen, especially everybody's talking about food and beverage and buffets and room service, and we can talk, over and over about food and beverage. But is there anything that's come out in the last 3 months from either a technology standpoint or somebody kind of, like you said, necessity is the mother of invention? Anything that's come out that you said, hey, that's a cool idea, or that's a cool way of looking at food and beverage, or another element of the hospitality industry? Because one of the things I've heard from every designer I've spoken to is, I will not design a hospital. Everybody wants to make sure that we keep the design in hospitality and that it just doesn't become these clean lines and these empty spaces. So anyone want to speak about something they've seen that's been interesting in the last couple of months? Or no?
Well, you got to, Malcolm, we'll go to you. Anthony, you got to call on the people. So that way you put them on the spot and they can't hide behind the microphone.
Thanks for teaching me, Glenn.
Hey, that's what I'm here for, Anthony. Next up, I'll teach you how to shave because apparently you've forgotten how to. Malcolm, please take it away. Sorry for making fun of Anthony on your time.
No, it's all good. So I think, when we talk about necessity being the mother of invention, there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't even realize anymore. For example, when you go to a restroom, usually you put your hand under the faucet and the faucet starts running. Things that we're going to be seeing now, for example, is we're going to see a lot more of automatic door openers. We're going to see the whole phone technology opening doors. All that's going to be much more of a given, as opposed to, hey, let's keep thinking about it for another 10 years. The technology has been out there for a long time. It's just a matter of implementation. That said, when you talk to brands and you talk to owners, a lot of owners don't want to sterilize their environment. I mean, at the end of the day, we go to hotels not just to stay in a room. We go to hotels for the experience. So if the experience is sterilized, people are just not going to come. So I think we're designing with the mindset that we still want to provide amazing experiences, but they are going to be catering more towards social distancing, towards having experiences in somewhat privatized spaces, even though we're in public.
But Malcolm, how do you know that that's going to be a trend and not really, a negative fad because of the right now? If you start designing something today and it's a brand new project, we're talking several years before it even gets open. So how are you processing that in order to come up with what you think is going to be the right answer in 2022?
That's the secret of design. You don't know they're designing it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. I mean, what we need to do right now is design a property in a way that would be flexible. So when we design a seating area, when we design a restaurant, let's design it in a way that in full saturation it works, and desaturated it works just as well. You might have to make a few things morph around. It might be malleable. You might be moving planters around to create secluded areas. But that's really stuff that you can move around that's not permanent. So we are designing, I always like to call it designing the master plan. How would you design it if it was in full saturation and then edit it out to work without the saturation, basically?
Hey, we got some questions from the audience. So let's ask this one from Joseph Hacker. Callin, what is the design element you would like to see that isn't being implemented enough currently right now?
In food and beverage, or
just in general? The question was vague, so you get to answer any way you'd like.
I get to answer that. Before I answer that, though, I will tell you that I had somebody approach us to design what they call pandemic panels, which we absolutely turned down the opportunity to do that.
What is that?
Because I think what your question, Glenn, about kind of what are we seeing, and what Malcolm said is more aspirational and experiential, which is really the key, and I think kind of probably why we're on this panel. So the simplest thing is to create, kind of bulletproof panels on either side of dining tables. And I just thought, that is so not out of the box, and that is a way that hospitality won't flourish and it won't work going forward. So you go to places to be social, and not to be in a little glass bubble. So I think the challenge for us is going to be, how do we keep people feeling safe and still provide them with the social and aspirational experience, which is why you go spend hard-earned money, either at a hotel or a restaurant or, kind of any night out. And I think that's the challenge. So what Malcolm said about being able to create spaces that are, malleable and kind of manipulatable, as you need going forward, because none of us know how long this is going to last. I mean, what if this lasted for 10 more years without a vaccine? We just don't know. Anyway,
the good news is Dr. Fauci said yesterday that he thinks we're going to have a vaccine by the fall, I hope, and he'll say we'll have millions of them. So I hope so. But to your point, when Glenn was in Vegas last week, I call him my stunt double. He went so I can stay home, and the Wynn, again, everybody knows I'm poker player. The Wynn did blackjack with two people at the table, and it was completely separated, and the dealer was wearing a mask. And there was another hotel that had partitions, and then there was another hotel that only had partitions, which were fine. They were clear, but then they had like a bank one, like a clear one in front of you. So you were like in a little box, and literally just talking about it makes me out of breath. It was like I couldn't go there. Like I appreciate them watching out for me, but I just couldn't play. Like I would freak out. Like the win, I like the fact that there's only another person across the table. I have a mask on and I can play without feeling I'm in a glass box. So to your point, that you know, we have to, when you walk into to what Glenn said before, it's like, how do you know, how the people don't feel it? And that's why you hire the best designers in the world. That's why you guys are design winners, because when you walk through any hotel or any resort or any restaurant, there are design elements that you're not supposed to see the air handler. You're not supposed to see that air conditioner. You're not supposed to see the kitchen. You're not supposed to know that you're separated. And it just happens. And that's what really now more than ever, designers are really going to have to figure it out. Now it's really, on one hand, like you were saying before, it's a double-edged sword. One hand, it's kind of scary. On the other hand, I mean, you're kind of reborn, because you have to tell us how to run our hotels. You have to show us how to do that.
Correct.
So, Callin, follow up also from Joseph. How can a good design solution solve that? Instead of pandemic glass, how can we achieve distancing or safety through design? And I know this is not related at all, but I think about the way modern zoos are built, that you can't tell there's enclosures and stuff like that, right? So it feels like there's no barrier between you, but there's still a barrier between you.
Correct. And, again, I think Malcolm touched on it, but, we haven't started a new project yet. We're in the middle of a bunch, but we haven't officially kind of started from scratch in this world that we're living in. But we're thinking about it aggressively, as we all are. But I think it is going to be about creating areas, and I kind of talk about like behind the curtain. So typically, back of the house spaces were always back of the house spaces, and I was always the kind of kid. I always wanted to go like in the control room and see how things worked. So, when my mom took me to a museum with a diorama, it was cool to look inside and see the diorama, but I really wanted to know what was in the box. And so I think what we're going to see now is, I think the line between front of the house, back of the house, functional space, non-functional space is potentially going to be more open and available, because it'll give people more square footage. It'll be much more experiential. People love to look behind the curtain. And I think that we're going to see designs that are much more open in envelope, but much more intimate in terms of space within the envelope. I think ultimately that's what we're going to see happen. You're not going to jam, 15 two-tops next to each other on a 30-foot banquette where the way you pull the table out and you scooch in with your significant other. I just don't think that's going to happen for a minute. And if my choice, to Anthony's point, is to sit in a bulletproof, little glass bubble, I would just as soon, not. So I think the takeout component is going to be big, at least in food and beverage. I think the way that it's presented is going to be a lot more front and center. I think using the takeout model as sort of takeout and sit in. If you have the luxury of sitting outside, obviously communities are letting people take the streets now, and they're giving people street space for outdoor dining. People do feel comfortable outside. They've sort of proven that they emotionally feel better outside. But if you're living in Chicago, what are you going to do in February in 100?
Right. Yeah, that's not a good situation. The other thing that I'm worried about is, and Leslie, I'd love for you to be able to answer this one. When I started going out and I was in restaurants this past week, and they had the social distancing built in, but it felt really weird, empty and weird, right? So have you thought about how to do that? And Carolina, we saw that. Don't worry. Leslie, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's
I don't know what just happened.
That's all right. We're designing these spaces to, their full potential. Some restaurant work that we're doing right now, trying to include opportunities to sort of have more isolated experiences. The self-isolation idea, where you feel a little bit more intimate without it feeling like you're necessarily putting a barricade between you and the next person. I personally am still a little bit hesitant on the whole, going to a restaurant and everything is totally spread out, but I think there's ways you can probably fill the space a little bit to make it feel a little bit more experiential and lived in, and still get that experience to people. But I think right now, the best way to say is, we all understand what's going on. I think there's a little leeway going on with the expectation of what, as we adapt to how to, get through this and learn as we go. So yeah, I think we're doing the best we can when we talk about having, some of these projects that we're just starting to design. We don't really know what the answer is yet. And it's going to take a year, 18 months, 24 months to get some of these projects completed. I really do think that trying to design things that are sensitive to this issue is going to be important, and without trying to make it feel completely, 6 feet between you and the next person or more, and completely making the space feel, empty and sparse.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So great question coming up here. If I could bring it up. How can we connect and work and stay in front of you with new technology, design, and products, all while working remote? Because one of the things is we're also used to being together. How do we keep that good vibes going when we're separate? And Malcolm, how about you grab that one?
One comment. That was a little bit off topic, but it makes a lot of sense. Just stay connected. Stay connected with us as much as you can. Unfortunately, right now we're getting sort of this saturation of media on the phone, and it's getting a little bit harder to follow up on every single email that comes in, trying to announce something, trying to get in front of your face. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be really, really tough for you guys right now to get out in front of designers. I think I've seen a couple of successful happy hours that are done virtually as well. Where maybe some drinks are sent to people after hours, or they get together outside of parks. Some of those events have been kind of successful. Very little in-office work right now, so I'm not sure how to answer that one. I think that the office is going to start opening up a little bit more, so that's going to be helpful.
Has working separate slowed down the design process, or has it been more efficient?
Ooh. If that's still to me, I think it's a two-part answer to that question.
I'm sorry, you only get one part. You only get one part.
That's good. Somebody else go.
No, go ahead, Malcolm. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was kidding.
So I think it's a two-part because one part makes us much more efficient. We're not driving there. We're not driving back. We're not going to meetings and all this kind of stuff. So designing at home it could be a little bit faster. The flip side is we're not collaborating as fast and as quickly and as physically as we were before. It's amazing how a communication, just a gesture, a quick sketch in person can relieve 5 or 6 emails. So in that case, it's a little bit slower, but we're making it. Cal was talking about it earlier. It's amazing that we've proven that we can actually do it. Is it as efficient? I would really question that it is.
I'm starting to feel now it's over 3 months, and I am literally the last 2 days, I am just desperate for the human connection. I'm with my family. We're on the show every day. But like being in an office in that one, like if you're sketching something out or you're doing something, you're creating an idea, or if I'm working on uniform program or whatever program, marketing program, and having somebody just come in and say, hey, what are you working on? And then all of a sudden, 5 seconds later, you're on a completely different vision because that person just said it this way. And you just can't get, and I am just so desperate to get into an office and to get on a stage and do my speaking gigs and just be around people and get in with my clients and walk a hotel. I'm literally, I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
I got to tell you, sometimes one of those tangential comments are the most inspirational, right? The ones that just come off from left field and you're like, wow, that's a great idea. That's hard to do remotely.
Yeah. Right. Speaking about remotely, Leslie, Samantha had another question. What are suppliers and the vendor side of the community? What should they be doing to help you design for this new world that we're living in?
Well, I can speak for Carolina being on this, dealing with Tile Bar and some of our projects. And I know you guys are just doing your best to kind of get out there and get us what we need. You've been really supportive with, sending us samples when we need it and all of that. And I don't know if I have the right answer either. We've relied a lot on Material Bank, to be honest with you, because they've been, they get the samples to us very quickly and that kind of thing. And it allows us to do, virtual shopping, so to speak. But our vendors, I think right now they're doing their best to, we're trying to keep our office, as a vendor or, outsider free for right now, just for our protection. But it's tough. I think just keep up the virtual stuff for now. It's the best we can do.
Right. All right. So I do want to ask you, we got a question about elevators.
Yeah,
elevators.
I asked you to ask that question because that's the one that's most fascinating to me. When you were in Vegas, there were 4 little feet, right? Or 4 stickers with feet on it. You basically stand in the corner.
Right.
And
At the one of the 2 hotels I stayed at. The other did not have that.
And that was cool. I like that because it tells you stay off the elevator if you can't fit in that little spot. And I love that, right? Because I know that's one of the things that's going to give me anxiety, that if I get in an elevator and all of a sudden somebody squeezes in and they're up in my face, I'm not going to like that too much. They probably won't be wearing a mask. So I love that. But there's got to be more to design than stickers on the floor. But I don't know, because we all know, elevators have dimensions, and we don't want to take another inch away from a hotel to put a bigger elevator in. So had anyone ever given any thought to elevators? Because I think that's the, unless you just tell everybody to work out before they come to the hotel so they can take the stairs. Malcolm, what do you think about that?
This goes back to necessity being the mother of invention. I mean, the particles travel by air, obviously, right? So, and air moves with HVAC systems. If someone could create an HVAC system that passively brought the air from the floor up to the ceiling, or vice versa, or straight down, and actually made it very, very directional, then the chances of the particles traveling sideways would be different. So, I mean, that's a crazy off-the-cuff idea, but it could be possible. So other than that, practice holding your breath.
Right. I like that idea. All right. I don't want to hold my breath any longer. I want Carolina to tell us a little bit about the $30,000 in scholarships that you're giving away.
Yeah, a lot of people were reducing how much to give this year, but we looked and we said, nope, we're going to still give away the most we've ever given away, which is $30,000. And that's just in the South Florida chapter alone. So 5 recipients in October will be awarded that. And we just started, so they can go right online and sign up for it. And good luck.
Right. I love that. All right. Back to one more question that we have, and then we'll go into some final thoughts on that. What about finishes? Did any of you out there see any change in finishes that we might be seeing going forward? Callin, maybe you grab this one. Got to unmute you. Hold on one second, sir. All right, you are unmuted. Please continue.
I'm back. Do you mean specifically?
I will read you the exact question that I have received here. Do you see any particular finishes as a result of COVID?
Well, I think along the lines of Malcolm's mechanical suggestion for an elevator, I mean, obviously, working in the cruise industry, they can make anything look like anything that it's not. So, you'll look at a beautiful, beautiful piece of wood, and then you find out that that's actually been printed on aluminum,
right?
Because health and safety has always been paramount, on ships, and you saw how badly they were affected with this. I mean, really tragically bad. So, I mean, I think that you're going to see things that are, probably be less organic and more cleanable, and things that can be wiped down and won't absorb, like we had before. So I think that's going to create a whole new fabricating process, because Malcolm will agree with me 100%. If you're going to do black and steel, then that means you really do need a piece of steel, and you do need to heat it, and you need to hit it with oxalic acid to make it black. So a painter is not allowed to paint a piece of aluminum, and Malcolm nor I would agree that that would be black and steel. So I think the challenge is going to be, how do you keep it authentic and then keep it safe? because people are going to expect that, and it's going to be a liability issue for us as architects and designers to provide environments that are safe and cleanable without giving up a design aesthetic that people expect. And I think in a downturn economy, and I think when people are afraid, this is our opportunity to give them something that makes them happy. You know, it's hospitality. So we are charted with creating spaces that make people feel good, not frightened. So I think you're going to see new technologies come that are going to provide finishes and materials that are infinitely cleanable and non-COVID stickable.
Right. I love that idea. All right. Quick answer to Joseph Hacker over here. The Jetsons has helped cleaning kitchens and bathrooms. Go check out a company called Dishcraft. They clean dishes. They're already moving in that direction. Thought that was interesting. All right. So
can I ask a question?
Yeah, man.
Am I allowed? Am I allowed?
Let me think about that. Let's see. All right. You can ask because it is your show.
Talk a little bit about the Porcelanosa K-Life product. I mean, you were out there. You saw it. Basically, have you guys? I don't know if you've been introduced to it.
Creon.
What's that?
It's called Creon. The K-Life product is Creon or Creon.
Right. Explain a little bit about that product. I thought that's a fascinating product.
Yeah. Well, they have there's certain elements within the structure of the material that absorbs negative elements within the atmosphere. So it actually makes the air cleaner in the space by having it. And Joseph also asked about living walls. Will we see more of that? So I'm curious about Malcolm. Maybe you can answer that question real quick. What do you think about products that absorb some of the nasty elements within the air, either living or stone?
Yeah, and that product is actually being used in hospitals across the world. And I was in Spain, and I was in the showroom. It was fascinating. It was a fascinating product. It's basically cleaning all the germs in the air, and it's patented. They have it for like 20 years, and it's just one of the things that I think that we need to be looking at as we talk about front desks and all the surfaces that people, that are in lobbies and also rooms in the restaurants. Have you guys heard about that product?
Yeah, Creon's an amazing product. I mean, it's moldable in many ways. It's carvable. You can make it into sinks. You can make it into wall panels. You can make it into display booths. It really is an amazing, beautiful product. Porcelanosa does a great job with putting those together. Going back to the whole notion of biophilia, living walls, we've been seeing them for a while. I think there are new interpretations of living walls and application of green. I think you're going to see a lot of green out there. You've seen a lot of restaurants with a ton of green in it. And honestly, it's bringing us back to our roots. We love green. We love to be in lush green live environments that make us happy. Going back to what Cal was saying about happiness, we want to be surrounded by things that feel alive. So we need to be really, really careful not to go back into a sterile environment where every material is washable to the nth degree. I think there are ways of doing it sensitively where anything that we touch and is immediately available to us is super, it rejects everything. Anything that is a little bit beyond us that might be on a wall or in a ceiling or on an area that's not quite reachable could have a little bit more texture. So it's going to be a give and take in that respect.
Great. Leslie, how about yourself?
I mean, I think as you can see behind me, the green aspect, having that element in your hotels and your spaces makes you happy, makes me happy. I totally agree that, we have to find a fine balance between being sensitive to the things that we're touching on a regular basis, really evaluating whether that item, if we're talking about a guest room, is really needed, in the room for it to be successful. Is that going to be something that the guest notices or is missing if we take something out, like a refrigerator or, things that you touch within a room that you're used to seeing everywhere you go, and it's nice to have that convenience, but is that something that you really need? So, I know a whole topic of decorative pillows on beds has been something that has been, up for discussion, and washing it and that kind of thing. I think there's an element of balance that we need to find, that maybe it's sensitive for now, and but maintaining that authenticity so that it doesn't get lost and the experience gets lost along the way. So
one of the things that has driven me crazy for many years being in a hotel room, again, being a general manager, you're always worried about you're always about hygiene. Is the fabric in a room? I think you can do real great design with couches and chairs, making it very cleanable. And one of the things and it seems like the more stars you have in the hotel, the less cleanable the product is. What are your opinion? And Leslie's shaking her head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like going forward, I think there's going to be less. There's going to be less tolerance for that. What kind of challenges do you have? And do you have a product that you go to have that beautiful feel, but also make it very cleanable? I and Glenn knows, because anytime we're traveling together and he comes in my room for a meeting or a podcast, what do I have on my couches and my chairs, Glenn?
Towels.
I will not sit. Bringing a black light for 10 years around hotel rooms and seeing what's on couches and chairs. I will not sit on the couch and chair. Yes, exactly, Carolina. Exactly what you're thinking is on all those chairs. And so, what do you use? What materials, Leslie? Is there a material you use, and like, how do you get away from that?
I think it's hard because, of course, you've got vinyls and things like that are wipeable and cleanable, and finding things that are washable. Still maintaining that softness and that breathability. Yeah, it's tough. I think finding products that reduce the amount of crevices that can capture germs and dirt and not fully be cleaned. I know a lot of hotel owners are going to, the Mincy Marble kind of products in the bathrooms and things that have less grout lines. Just trying to look at things that aren't going to collect dirt and germs, I think is, for us, finding that balance between the authentic feeling in the experience and cleanability.
Malcolm?
Perception. There's also a perception of cleanliness too on some of this that we have to kind of play to.
Yeah. So Malcolm,
I think I'll go back to also what Cal said. In this day and age, we can make just about anything look and feel like something else, which is a blessing and a curse. Because we want to live in this sort of buzzword of authenticity, but what is authentic to you? If it feels good and it looks like it, is that authentic? So we like to keep things as authentic as possible. But for example, if we need to put a vinyl on a couch, but we don't want it to feel like plastic, can we do a vinyl that is super cleanable, that has a much more textural hand to it? So a soft feeling to it. So I think that going back to technology, I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of innovation coming from fabric companies that will enhance durability, cleanability, et cetera, towards cleaning products. Because the cleaning products right now that are being applied are incredibly caustic, and we're seeing a lot of damage being done to existing properties because they were just not built for it. So I think you're going to see an influx of amazing materials and products coming out into the market that are very cleanable.
Yeah, especially since they're using these electrostatic guns, which I'm a big fan of, but they're basically spraying that product everywhere. And I would imagine that's eventually going to have some major downfall.
All right, so Carolina, before we wrap up here for the day, anything that you want to add? Anything more about NEWH, scholarships, opportunities, all of that kind of good stuff?
Well, I do want to say thank you to Hubbardson Forge. They are the ones that make those beautiful awards for us. So they're always so gorgeous, and they do such a wonderful job. I do definitely want to give a shout out to my entire board. I mean, because we all work hard, we're all volunteers, and the goal is always the same thing. It's just networking, business development, and definitely raising money to do our scholarships. I'm very excited for that.
So that's weird, because Carolina said backstage she did all the work and nobody helped her.
Excellent. Any quick final thoughts from each of you folks before we wrap up about NEWH or whatever? Leslie?
Well, I just want to thank everybody that considered us. This is our first time being honored with this award, so we are, very grateful for, the recognition and to be part of this organization that provides such awesome scholarships for students. So
beautiful. Cal, how about yourself, sir?
Yep, ditto for a little bit. What Leslie said. Yeah, it's just an honor to be part of such a great group, and it pushes us, and it's sort of it's a really fun thing to be part of, and I'm grateful. And I've made some really, really good friends and relationships through the NEWH organization.
Excellent. Malcolm?
Yeah, what Leslie and Cal said, I'm just going to ride their coattails. I think,
Love it.
like I said before, I think NEWH, you're an amazing, amazing organization. To the students out there, please, please, please get involved with them. Go in for the scholarships, apply. Use NEWH as an amazing lifeline right now. You could use all the help you can get, especially getting in touch with prospective employees, etc. In this day and age, it's a little bit tougher. So they're an amazing resource. So NEWH, thank you very much for helping everybody out. And let's keep it positive, guys. Let's keep thinking very, very positively in this industry. We can use all the help we can get, making clients feel like we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's really, I want to make, before everybody goes, I just want to say this. The future of our industry is in your hands, really. The way we look and the way we feel in the next 5-10 years is really in your hands. And we don't want to look back if we get a vaccine and in a year, everything's moving forward and we're almost forgetting, hopefully, about what's just happened. Us to look back 5 years from now and say all of our hotels were designed like we're going through a pandemic. So we want to be safe and we want to be, we want to be clean, but we want design. We don't like a lot of people are saying, we do not want hospital rooms. So, our industry's in your hands. Can you handle it?
Yeah.
We got it.
All right. Well, that's a great place to leave this part of our conversation. I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you so much. NEWH, remember, is a great organization. You got to be sure to participate in it and join it and all of that kind of stuff. So, Anthony, week's been great. We got a lot of big news. You've got hospitality success seminars going on. We've got the hotel regroup conference going on.
Big week in hospitality success, buddy.
Yep.
Big
Tell me about it.
Just lots of clients, big week. I'll tell you more about it offline because there's too much to talk about. But we've had a really big week. We're working with some incredible people. We've hired partnering with some incredible people, and very fortunate. So good week. People are starting to really think about how to reopen their hotels. And I'll talk more about a book that me and my friend Chad are putting together about how to reopen. And not so much reopen, but really how to buy a hotel in the market in the next month or 2 months or 6 months or a year, because things are going to change. And so, good week, man. Again, big shout out to our producers, Jeff and David, helping us out. Just amazing. We couldn't do the show, and the show's getting better and better and better and better. So
it sure is. And I got to say, join us at our Hotel Reboot Podference series. That's going to start on Wednesday, June 24th, with focusing on redesign. Then on July 8th, we've got Reinvent. July 22nd, Refinance and Reinvest. And then on August 5th, Refuel, which is all going to focus on food and beverage. Check that out at hotelreboot.com. What a great week this has been. Thank you all so much for your continued support out there. Our audience keeps growing. Our community keeps getting tighter, and it just feels so rewarding to have everybody partnering with us and learning and sharing and all of that kind of great stuff.
Since you didn't not hire me, but you didn't ask me to be on Hotel Reboot because I'm an operations guy, I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to sign in so I can watch.
Honestly,
I'm going to critique you.
Anthony, I know you love giving me a hard time about this, and I did apologize about that multiple times out there. But I think I'm going to
critique it. I'm pissing him off now. I'm annoying him about it. That's good. I see that you're getting annoying. You're like, if you say it one more time, I'm going to punch you in the face. You know what? I'm going to review it. I'm going to go to hotelreboot.com, which I think is a great name, which I think is a great concept. I'm going to critique you.
I love that. And
Anthony, I already set up the coupon. It's 5% off.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. Anthony and I are going to go continue to fight it out off screen. So,
no, you know where I'm going? I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to take a walk this afternoon.
Where?
I'm going to go to Coney Island, my friend.
Nice. Oh, I love Coney Island. All right, Anthony, have yourself a great weekend. I want to thank all of you all for being here. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. And Anthony,
thanks for checking in.
See you guys next week.